E aí, galera do YouTube, tudo bom? Aqui tá tudo bom também. Estamos de volta aqui com Vampyr. É exatamente da onde paramos no último episódio. Então vamos prosseguir aqui no Hospital Pembroke. Mas antes de ir para lá, curta, comente, compartilhe com seus amigos e se inscreva no canal aí para dar aquele help top. Partiu! Tá. Aqui tem como falar com eles, mas deixa eu dar uma exploradinha. Ô louco! Ó o mano ali!
Rotten or pristine, each heart contains the seed of life. Drink at this river, dry it all.
Oh, come on, you bastard! I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
All right, sorry. I am in pain here. My guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reid.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
A qualidade do sangue indica quantos XP você receberá do cidadão em particular. Quanto maior a qualidade do sangue, mais XP você recebe.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
Vamos levar... Não, eu não vou matar ele, mano. Eu vou levar ele pro hospital, tá ligado? Ah, eu tenho que seguir, mano. Deixa eu ver.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
Só catar as coisas aqui, mano. Ah, não vou matar não. Como eu falei, eu não vou matar ninguém.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go. But no famished hunter can run for long.
Ah, voz desconhecida. Cala essa boca, mano. Você não sabe o que você tá falando, mano. Você não me conhece. Eu sou um doutor chiquérrimo. Você fica aí dando essas falácias sobre mim. Nossa. Oxe, tá em reforma aqui o hospital, mano. Ah, olha. Essa é a zona de quarentena, mano. Tá vendo as barraquinhas para ficar as pessoas? Não tem espaço no hospital. Parece algo que a gente tem passado nos últimos 2 anos, né? É difícil, viu? Gripe espanhola. O doutor só mais me pediu para buscar o Dr. Reid. Opa, já tô indo já, moça. Deixa eu só roubar uns bagulhetes aqui, moça. Com toda a sua licença, por favor. Ó. Ah lá, a pessoa tá de máscara, mano. O resto não tá, mano. Cadê suas máscaras, mano? A pessoa pelo menos tem consciência, tá ligado? Calma, Dorothy. Ó, sem máscara ali. Morreu. Aqui tá de máscara, ó que belezinha, ó. Ó. Usei máscara. Ah, mas fico sufocado embaixo do meu óculos. Não embaça, não. Quer dizer, embaça, mas use máscara. Foda-se. É o certo a se fazer. Calma, Dorothy. Oh, Dorothy, minha querida Dorothy. Hello, Dorothy.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide-and-seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Milton.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you.
Nossa, mas já tem
Nurse
meu
Crane,
nome? Nossa, vocês
isn't it?
são rápidos, hein, mano?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reid. Your office has been prepared.
I would like to ask a few questions first. And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
If you could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
Ok, muito
Thank
obrigada.
you, Nurse Crane.
Ela tá meio estressada, mas também, né, mano? Trabalhar num hospital, mano, na pandemia deve ser foda. Devido à gripe, esse hospital não está mais aceitando pacientes. Ih! Então esse é o hospital que é o centro epidêmico. Que é onde eles tratam as vítimas da epidemia. Legal. Tá, tem uns negócios aqui, uns negócios. Deixa eu ver se tem... Ok, tem uma cama vazia aqui. Provavelmente aguardando um paciente da gripe espanhola, talvez. Tá, deixa eu fuçar aqui, né? Vai que eu acho alguma coisa interessante. Tá, lá de máscara, bem bonitinho. Sem máscara, estranho. Ridículo, tem que pôr máscara, mano. É a gripe espanhola, mano, é mais letal que o coronavírus, mano. Tá. Vamos fuçar aqui. Nossa, mano. Situação, velho. Não tem nem onde deixar as coisas. O hospital tá lotado que não tem onde deixar os bagulho. Tá. Aqui tem uma pessoa. E aqui tem outra. Então tá. Hospital Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Achei que dava pra pegar ali, mano. Eu, antes de subir, eu vou ver os pacientes, mano, porque eu sei que tem.
Please spare me, Dark Queen. Spare your obedient slave.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reid. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon
Ah,
here.
ele foi queimado.
War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under The scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Que dó, mano.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Tá, então ele tá com dor, ele sofreu queimaduras e agora ele tá com dor. Ah, o nosso amigo aí. Ei!
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reid, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
Hawcroft, olha lá.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reid. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show.
Oh, Clay
with the
Cox.
assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Legal.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Ah, ele não sabia que o cara era vampiro, hein, mano.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Ok. Então ele falou que tem outra mulher que também é viciada em sangue. Beleza, então. Vou falar com ela.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reid, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reid, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
Tá, ela não é vampira porque não é assim
I
que
see.
eles se sentem.
Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Nossa.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Tá, uma nova investigação de cidadão está disponível. Algo errado, beleza. Thelma tem síndrome de Cotard e acredita ser uma vampira. Ok.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it's such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Ué, mas eu não tenho pista. Beleza. Depois eu vou ter que
I'll
voltar pra
leave you,
falar com ela.
Mistress of the Dark. to your nocturnal activities.
Tá. Quem é você?
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
Pippa.
I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
Você tem razão.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Ok, Milton Hoops. Perguntas pessoais. Tá.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Beleza. Vamos fuçar mais coisas. O que que temos aqui? Tem paciente, não. Tem aqui. Tem esse médico.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reid, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Ouch!
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reid. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Ouch! Não há motivo
There
para
is
o
no
xingar.
need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Ok.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reid, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Salvei muitas vidas. O conhecimento é nossa maior arma.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative. It is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reid.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Liberou alguma coisa? Não.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
É, o cara não curte muito eu, né? Mas... Opa, tem um paciente aqui. Olá. Opa, vou falar com ela primeiro.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reid? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the
Mortimer.
expenses.
Nossa.
That's all that matters.
O nome do moleque, mano.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Ok, ela é uma viúva rica.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Ok, ela ensina etiqueta.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Ah.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reid. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Sim. Mulher veio cobrar. Tá de brincadeira, mano.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Beleza, vamos falar com Mortimer.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Ok.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here, She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured, you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reid. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Tá, ele se sente sufocado pela mãe.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Never could keep anything from her.
Tá.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Não dá pra falar com ela ainda.
Knew the words to calm. Be sure we're making a difference.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reid? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reid.
Tá, então ele machucou o braço do trabalho.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Tá, então ninguém sabe se vai operar ou não ele.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Tá, isso aqui tá interessante. Carta inacabada. Vamos ver. Hospital Pembroke, 2 de novembro. Meus filhos queridos. Desculpe por não escrever antes, mas só de escrever essas palavras parece que meu braço vai explodir. Não se preocupem, o papai vai sair do hospital assim que os médicos curarem o braço dele. Se vocês precisarem de alguma coisa enquanto isso, procurem o Sr. Chadwick, lá no canteiro de obras, e falem que vocês são filhos do Harvey Fiddick. Vocês se lembram do Robert Chadwick? Aquele cara grandão de bigode que me ajudou a consertar a porta da casa na primavera passada? Peçam os trocados para ele, com certeza ele vai ajudar. Desculpem por não poder trabalhar para sustentar vocês, mas a gente vai dar um jeito nisso assim que eu sair daqui. Não se preocupem, tudo vai melhorar depois que o braço do papai ficar forte de novo. Assim que os médicos curarem meu braço, eu... Tá. Tá. Então sabemos que ele não tem dinheiro. Tá, tem uma nova pista sobre ele. Deixa eu falar.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick. You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids.
Putz.
We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Coitado, mano. Aqui se tem alguma coisa. Tá.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Tá, que daí ele sai do hospital. Mas eu não quero sair. Aqui sai do hospital. Opa. O médico travou ali na porta, mano. Tá, vamos pro outro lado. Pipa Hawkins.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Porque pegou... Ah, tá. Não dá pra
Goodbye,
pegar
Nurse
isso.
Hawkins.
Tá, aqui já fui. Quem é você?
Good evening, sir.
So it is true.
Dr.
The famous
Tippett.
Dr. Reid has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr.
Olha.
Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was
Olha, o
also
cara
very
tava
confident about your future.
Fazendo...
And look
O
at
cara é
you now.
cirurgião cardiovascular,
Eminent
mano.
surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reid. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Ah, é. Naquela época, mulheres não podiam ser médicas.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
Goodbye.
Tá. Vamos ver aqui. Tem uma coisa pra eu pegar. Ah, tá. Aqui é pra sair lá no fundo. Não quero sair do hospital. Quero descobrir mais sobre a equipe que trabalha aqui, mano.
It's locked, all right.
Birmingham, 27 de outubro. Olá, irmãzinha. Como vão as coisas na cidade grande? Aqui em Brum não vão indo tão bem. Parece que a gripe está de volta, temos vários casos novos de infecção na vizinhança. Lembra-se da senhora Scheller, aquela bruxa alcoólatra do terceiro andar? Ela faleceu há 2 dias e o quarto dela já está ocupado. Meu Deus, teriam que me pagar muito dinheiro para eu dormir na mesma cama que a mulher que acabou de morrer com essa doença. Peço desculpas por não ter tido tempo para responder sua última carta. Entre cuidar do Paul, da mamãe e do papai e o meu trabalho na fábrica, me sobra pouco tempo para escrever para minha irmã favorita. A propósito, meu filho está mandando oi para a tia Pipa. Você deveria ver esse capetinha. Ele já está me deixando louca. E a mamãe quer que você traga um daqueles bolos maravilhosos das próximas vezes que você voltar para casa. Na sua última carta, você me disse que pensou em deixar seu emprego no Hospital Pembroke. Tenho que dizer, Pip, que é melhor você pensar melhor. Sempre há um emprego na fábrica, mas os salários são uma piada. E é tão chato quanto um dia sem dar uma... quanto um dia sem dar uma asinha. Ah, eu tenho um novo noivo. E não, eu não sou uma vadia, sou a puta moralista. Beleza, então. Tá. Então, se quer mesmo sair daí e fazer algo mais útil do que contabilizar os mortos todas as manhãs, talvez seja melhor você ficar em Londres. E participar daquele grupo do qual você me falou. A guarda ou Priven. O Priven ou algo assim. Nunca ouvi falar deles, mas se eles são, como você disse, são um tipo de milícia civil tentando fazer a diferença. Então talvez seja bom pra você. Só não se esqueça de deixar que os outros fiquem na sua frente. Foi assim que meu Billy foi morto na França, liderando diversas patrulhas. Guerra desgraçada, seja como for. Venha assim que puder e me conte as boas notícias antes disso. De sua irmã afetuosa Lucy, Paul, mamãe e papai. Ah, que bonitinho. Quem é você? É a Pipa?
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Pippa, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
Orgulhe-se do que conquistou.
You should be proud of what you've achieved.
Né?
This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
Deixa eu ver aqui. Ah lá, ó. Pipa separa camas para pacientes que podem pagar. Pipa está pensando em se demitir do hospital Pembroke. Ah, tá, ela conhece o Milton.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Tá, falta só uma pista para eu descobrir tudo sobre ela. Então, beleza. Deixa eu pegar aqui as coisas. Não tem nada aqui. Beleza. Aqui tem... Previna doenças. Cuspe, tosses e espirros em público propagam a gripe. Ela se espalha pelas gotas de saliva e coriza. Evite tossir em público. Putz, eu tinha que falar com o Dr. Ackroyd. Cadê? Ackroyd, sei lá. Sobre a
I'm quite
situação
busy,
do cara.
Thank you.
Não dá. Ainda não liberou. Merda. Milton. Falta falar com o Milton. Cadê o Milton? Ah, o Milton. E aí, Milton?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reid. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reid. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reid. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Ah, ele vende armas.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Ok.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reid.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reid. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Pra vender. Não tem nada pra vender? Tá, eu vou fazer o seguinte, eu vou produzir o meu remédio. Nossa, que hospital gigante, mano do céu. Tá, aqui o Dr. Swansea. Aqui não tem nada. Ah tá, achei que era moeda ali, mas não é. Tá, meu lugar é por aqui, eu acho, né? Deixa eu ver. Tá, aqui não é um escritório. Aqui é uma sala de cirurgia. Interessante. Prontuário do doutor. Paciente Thomas Elwood, sexo masculino, 28 anos. Médico responsável, Dr. Tippett. Estado em recuperação. Data de admissão, 16 de setembro. Da liberação, né? O rosto do paciente sofreu queimaduras graves e foi desfigurado por uma bomba durante a guerra. Mesmo com o uso de sedativos fortes, ele afirma frequentemente sentir as dores das feridas, como se as chamas ainda queimassem sob a pele. Segundo o que diz, né? Os exames do tecido foram cicatrizados e não indicam traços de inflamação, infecção ou inchaço. As cicatrizes estão limpas. Seria esse um caso de dano persistente aos nervos? O paciente está sempre se culpando pela própria desfiguração. Poderia ser um caso de culpa do sobrevivente? Dores fantasma manifestando-se como punição por não morrer com seus companheiros? É um caso a se pensar, não é mesmo? Tá, o que tem aqui? Nada. Opa, tem sim.
It's locked.
Bosta, trancado, merda. Aqui é quem? Dr. Tippett. Dr.
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes.
Oh, que lugar
Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Tá, tem um negócio aqui. Nossa. Tá, vamos lá. Aproximar-se de um vampiro é uma oportunidade rara e quase um privilégio. Uma possibilidade de observar o seu físico intrigante e suas características psicológicas sob o olhar científico e racional. Eis algumas das habilidades mais fascinantes que já observei nos últimos 10 anos ao entrevistar alguns vampiros, ou Econ, como eles preferem se chamar. Velocidade sobrenatural. Vampiros podem agir e se movimentar com um mortal em todas as suas ações, mas para um olhar treinado é possível ver que eles têm sentidos aguçados e reagem mais rápido do que qualquer mortal. Em certas ocasiões, tipo susto, surpresa e necessidade de fugir, vi um vampiro se movimentar tão rápido que parecia ter desaparecido para reaparecer em outro lugar. O olho humano é incapaz de seguir os movimentos deles quando agem dessa maneira, mas não se trata de teletransporte ou desmaterialização. Trata apenas de velocidade sobrenatural. Para mim, é um atributo felino que os permite correr, esquivar, pular mais rápido em maiores distâncias do que nós. Também notei que tal velocidade parece deixá-los exaustos e que estão sujeitos a limitações físicas. Mesmerização. Uma das habilidades mais poderosas que o vampiro pode usar é a capacidade de forçar um mortal a obedecê-lo. Chamo esse atributo de mesmerização. Porém, não tem nada a ver com a habilidade de um mortal alterar o estado mental de um indivíduo. Vampiros podem influenciar um mortal como bem entendem e podem até destruir sua mente. Um vampiro que entrevistei me disse que quanto mais o indivíduo resiste, mais permanente será o dano causado, como se o vampiro literalmente quebrasse a psique do alvo. O mesmo vampiro explicou que era necessário tempo para dominar essa habilidade, e o resultado poderia variar consideravelmente de um indivíduo para outro. Em implantar uma memória falsa ou apagar uma dolorosa, as possibilidades são infinitas e assustadoras. Consciência sobre sangue. Talvez essa seja a habilidade mais catastrófica de todas, já que é a causa de inúmeras tragédias tanto para nós como para os vampiros. Vampiros anseiam por sangue. Eles têm que usar sua força de vontade para evitar beber desenfreadamente toda a gota de sangue que aparece em sua frente. Eles precisam de um sangue para funcionar, e todo o potencial de seus atributos sobrenaturais. Um vampiro faminto pode ficar muito enfraquecido mesmo que não possa morrer de fome ou sede. Talvez essa vontade, essa necessidade de sangue, explique o motivo dos vampiros serem tão atraídos por ele. Um vampiro me confessou que às vezes sangue pode cegá-lo, já que o cheiro e a atratividade dele são tão fortes. Quando o vampiro se foca, ele quase consegue ver o sangue ao seu redor, dentro de corpos quentes, através das paredes, em uma arma supostamente limpa e etc. O mesmo vampiro me disse que ele consegue perceber se um mortal tem sangue limpo ou se está doente, e em alguns casos pode até detectar doenças, roupas ou itens infectados em um quarto. Se isso for verdade, então poderia haver tantas aplicações médicas que é até impossível de acreditar. Tá, eu vou mexer aqui depois. Tá, não tem mais nada aqui que eu possa pegar. E aqui? Aqui não. Vamos ver aqui o negócio. Amostra de sangue, eu vou analisar. Puta, preciso de solução de... aqui. Reciclar.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching.
Tá,
The
vamos dar
sun
uma
is about to
dormidinha.
rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Corpo. Tá, vou melhorar a condição corporal. vou melhorar a boa forma. Tá. Mordida. Aumenta a absorção de sangue. Vamos pegar essa também. E vamos pegar esse aqui. Tá, será que tem mais? Pote. Coagulação. Isso aqui é importante. Mas acho que não dá. Vou esperar mais um pouquinho. Na noite seguinte.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Tá. Opa, tem alguma coisa aqui. Querido Jonathan, pedi à enfermeira Crane para providenciar um escritório para você no segundo andar. Por favor, releve a decoração simples, pois o hospital Pembroke está longe de ser um The Ritz. Lamento por deixá-lo conhecer seu escritório sozinho, mas preciso dormir um pouco antes de voltar ao trabalho, afinal sou um mero mortal. Também pedi que o deixassem descansar e que nenhum funcionário entrasse na sua sala. Você poderá dormir o dia inteiro sem ser perturbado e trabalhar à noite sem levantar suspeitas. Receio que o lugar esteja um tanto bagunçado, mas você terá a liberdade para conduzir seus experimentos no seu próprio ritmo. Você também verá uma janela aberta com um andaime que o permite entrar e sair do hospital sem ser notado. Imagino o quão novo e perturbador tudo isso deve ser para você. Acredite, estudei sua espécie o suficiente para entender que o que você está enfrentando e sentindo nesse momento. Não se preocupe, farei o que for possível para ajudá-lo com essa situação. Saiba que não está sozinho nisso. Estou feliz por tê-lo conhecido nesses tempos sombrios que todos nós estamos enfrentando. Espero que a nossa futura parceria gere bons frutos. Bem-vindo ao Pembroke, meu caro colega. Conversaremos em breve. Atenciosamente, Edgar Griffith, Swansea. PS. Deixei cópias de algumas anotações de minhas descobertas sobre Econ nos últimos anos. Sinta-se livre para ler sobre isso se precisar de um pouco de orientação, contanto que não use esse conhecimento para tirar vantagem de mim. Tá. Bom, eu vou encerrar este vídeo por aqui. Nos vemos no próximo episódio. Até mais!